Hello everyone, welcome back to Ramon at Home. I'm so excited you're here today because you guys, this is already June. That means that Christmas in July is just a few weeks and we're gearing up to bring you all brand new Christmas content. So a few weeks ago, we went to visit our friends David Christopher's in Alabama. Now that I live here in Nashville, it's perfect because I can just get on the highway and get there and go to their showroom. And we also got to shoot some videos. We're planning some things for Christmas, but this is part 2 of that interview that I had with David, trying to share with you all of the items, tips, tricks, and Christmas trends for 2025. If you have not seen part 1, I'm going to link it down below so that you guys can catch up. It was a super fun video, but this video is just as fun, so really hope that you are as excited as I am. All right, you guys, well, let's get started with this beautiful Christmas inspo video for Christmas 2026. And we're back with David from David Christopher's. And you guys, this is the ornament that we were talking about earlier in the video. This right here, it comes, how many colors do you get this in?
I think we've got 5 colors, 5 or 6.
This is the blue, and this is the one that I told you looks like a jewel. Actually, I highlighted as one of my favorite ones. You were saying that, so how does this work to make it look that shiny?
So this is actually 2 pieces. So it's hard to tell on the ball because it's shiny on the back side. Yeah. This is a shiny full finish, but it's shiny on the inside too. And this is a translucent piece. So it's 2 halves. The translucent piece allows you to see through it, okay. And the full catches so much of the light, and the faceting makes it look like that.
It's almost like a reflector. Remember those reflectors? So when this catches the light, it's going to really illuminate the inside when you put the Christmas tree lights on it. So it's going to really make it come alive, and that's why it caught my eye. And I was like, I have to have David explain this, how this works. It is so beautiful. So it comes in about 5 different colors. This blue one is being one of them. You can go to the website and look for it. I'm gonna put a SKU number on the description box below so you guys can find the particular one. But it is absolutely beautiful. Now, the other thing that we're discussing right now was ribbon. And if David was explaining to me this, let's pick this one right here, this, which is one of my favorite ones that I saw today. So can you explain a little bit about why that ribbon versus this ribbon, the wire? We're gonna talk about the wire. So to me, what the wire, but everything's a good quality ribbon. However, for me, when I'm making the videos, it's way easier to use something with a thicker wire than with a thinner wire. And he was telling me that the reason why is because some of the factories only work with certain wires. Or can you explain that?
So some of the factories, especially when we buy ribbon from China and Taiwan, the majority of them are going to want to use like a 0.15, 0.2 millimeter wire, as opposed to when we buy ribbon from India, we're generally going to start at like a 0.3 to 0.4 millimeter ribbon, and we even will sometimes ask them to go up and above that so that we get this really stiff, stays where you want it kind of shape. And also some of that comes from we'll get them to starch some of the ribbons. So some of it, like a lot of the flannels, a lot of times we'll have that fabric actually starched so that the fabric itself is stiffer. And then when you add that extra wire into the ribbon also, it's just an extra layer. And we're actually we have forced our Chinese manufacturer this year to go to a thicker wire. So these will actually come in with double this thickness.
Because I was gonna say, this particular ribbon, it's so similar to that one. It even has the lame back of it, so it's very similar. However, this has a thinner wire than that one. So in my opinion, is like this one, if you had that wire, it's not that it's less quality, it's just that the wire is thinner. And that's one thing that I had to clear my mind, that sometimes also keeps the price point lower so you can get a good quality ribbon for less. So where this one's going to be a little bit more, obviously it has all these beautiful jewels. And then also the wire is thicker. So that doesn't mean that it's less quality, it just means it has a different wire. That's what I want to explain.
Yeah, and then, you know, one great thing about India is we have all these great embellishments that we can add into them, the jewels. Some of them we just don't have access to in China, so that's one reason we do end up buying a lot of ribbon from India, is because we can choose lots of different trims and
Why do you think that
edges.
is? I've noticed with other people that sell Indian ribbon that they have all these beautiful. It's part of their culture, you know. They wear all those outfits and all that.
That's
bling.
where it comes from. It comes from the apparel industry, because in the ribbon industry, yes, we're going to end up using 10 yards of a strip like this, but in the apparel industry, they may actually make an entire, sari, a gown, something out of that really heavy jeweled piece. And, that really goes a long way. So what happened is the textile industry in India is very strong. And so they started bringing some of that embellishments from the apparel industry over into the home textiles, and that's kind of how we ended up with the ribbons that we ended up with from India.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation about a year ago or 2 years ago when we talked about the bows. Remember the the bow theme that they did? I'll put a B-roll here, where we talked about how most of these designs trickle down from the fashion industry. These designers who do this kind of work, they inspire a lot of. They get a lot of inspiration from the fashion industry, whether it's textures or like embellishments like this. So it just makes sense that a beautiful culture like India that loves the bling would put this much bling on a ribbon. And I mean, here in America, we love it because who wouldn't want that in their Christmas tree? Let's be honest.
Yeah, like one year, I think I actually got some of the jewel pieces. Jen had a high-heeled shoe that had these really great rhinestone pieces on it, and I immediately, take a picture of it, send it to the factory. I'm like, this is what I want on the ribbon, and we end up with it like that. So
That's
it does come from some of those fashion trends.
Okay, add to cart immediately. Now I do want to show one of my favorite ones, and I want you to talk a little bit about this one over here. Okay. This plaid, it's so rich.
So that's going to be one of those that we do add that extra starch into.
Okay. Well, it's already pretty firm. I love it. I love this ribbon. Is this something that, how do you pick, like there's an assortment of plaids. So how do you decide which plaids do you want to carry a year? What, I guess what my question is like, out of all of the plaids, how do you know how to pick something like this? Is one of my favorite ribbons. We highlighted it earlier.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen it here before. So this is something new this year or the year before. Yeah. So how do you choose this?
So basically, the factories sometimes will send us like thread assortments, and they'll send us an assortment of different colors, and we'll basically either start to line some of those up and go, we like these colors together, and then they can make all the yarn pieces to start weaving the plaids. And then this one's on a diagonal, so sometimes we'll do them horizontal, and sometimes we'll do them diagonal. Just depends on, I don't know, sometimes the mood I'm in is kind of how we end up with that. But yeah, a lot of times it's just taken from, we kind of decide, like, I may see something that's got that, it may be in women's clothing, it may be in like a skirt, or I saw it in a scarf or something like that, and I may take a picture of it and send it to the factory and go, we've got to have this color combination this year. For trees, it was in Jen's scarf last year. I've got to have it.
Do you ever get like, I love watching like the runway shows from like the couture designers. This year's Ralph Lauren to me was like the best, especially for menswear. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, I know that even though he's on YouTube, he doesn't really watch much YouTube. However, you do have like 20 minutes to sit down and watch. It's so worth it because there's so much inspiration the way they did the show this year for menswear. It's a lot of gray on gray, brown on bright. It's very monochromatic. But the textiles they use, I think he's one of the greatest designers here in America, if not the greatest for me anyways, because he uses a lot of these plaids and it's very British inspired, but like made Americana style.
It is.
So my question is, like, do you ever sit down and watch like shows like that to get inspiration on textiles or design? Or
I haven't seen like a lot of shows like that. I will tend to like just take inspiration from whatever I'm seeing at the moment, and then a lot of that comes from interiors too, because I think a lot of the interior designers take inspiration from like those fashion shows, and they'll end up with this as a wallpaper or a grass cloth on the walls, and then I'll see it, I'll somehow see a picture of like this this as a wallpaper, and I'll go, I love that.
Yeah.
Now they just need a Christmas tree to go with.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is so crazy because that's how it works. We were talking about earlier how we love architecture, and every time that I see a house, I'm thinking, right now that we're in the market for one, I'm thinking, how am I gonna decorate for Christmas? Does it have the height? Does it have the rooms? So when we are in this industry, whether it's a piece of clothing, his wife's high heels, or just a beautifully designed room can spark that inspiration for creating themes like this.
Paint colors, walking into a room, like Jen and I were in that hotel in Savannah this past weekend for our anniversary, and just some of the things that I saw there was some of the uses of the textures between. They had this kind of a rustic espresso wood that had a little bit of a gray wash on it, a lot of navy, and then they have these brass strips like an elevator. Like I loved the elevator, so I'm taking pictures of like the walls of the elevator because it's got these combinations that I really like. It's in this geometric pattern, and I just really like that they threw this kind of an antique brass into it. And so I'm like, well, that's definitely going to be something we're going to use in some combination.
So you put on your
forward.
Rolodex in your mind, and it's like later you'll bring that memory back to create something. Also, a fun fact about David, you guys, and I'll share if you don't mind. One of his passions is ironwork, and he showed me some pictures, and it is true. Like you can find inspiration even in ironwork in a house outside or inside of a hotel or the windows and stuff. So that's why it's so important to go out and explore, and get inspired, because when you have this many hats on, you have to find inspiration around.
Yeah, like some of those trellis pieces or fences, balcony railings, that geometric pattern I love. It's kind of where we end up with some of the, if we're looking for geometric patterns, sometimes we'll end up with something like this, because I can basically tell them, oh, we need a pattern and glitter on ribbon, and I can use something to that extent.
Okay. Just fun question. Are you going to get this year? Because last year they told me that it was like, because of what was happening, you couldn't get that. Did you get it? Or
we got partial shipment of some of it. So we got 1,000 rolls of it, but we were already over. We had sold more than that. The second shipment that came in, was supposed to come in, we did not get because of the tariff situation with India. That second shipment, sometimes we'll have a backup shipment to our first shipment. Once it sells so much, we'll try to place an additional order just to get some in, but it might be a little later. And because that one didn't ship early enough, it ran into the extra. They added a 25% and another 25% tariff, which made it, on top of the existing tariff, was just astronomical. So we kind of,
and then you have to think about, like, then the retailer has to increase the value for it in order to make their profit. So at one point it kind of becomes a little bit impossible to get because it would be so highly priced to the consumer. So that's why. But did you get it this year? I'm only asking because I want to use it in my apartment this year.
So some of the ribbons that we didn't get last year, we paused. We just waited till it was a couple weeks ago. They dropped the tariffs back down to their 10-15% a reasonable rate. So we're getting those in this year. We just chose to wait because we want to make it affordable for you guys to be able to pick up those things that you need. We don't want to be, we're trying to bring you high-end style at an affordable price.
And you're doing a great job, my friend. One more, I promise you.
Yeah. No.
So we're gonna go back to the Nutcracker theme right here, because I also love this selection of ribbons. To me, it's very Mackenzie Childs inspired, but I've never seen the ribbon, like, if my cameraman would just get a little close up right here. It has this beautiful lame back, and it's absolutely stunning. So tell me a little bit about how this come about. How do you pick? Because the whole tree is very. I mean, we've seen the Harley Quinn, but like now with the addition of this, it just makes it so much more elegant. I love it.
Yeah, honestly, this was one that we got from the factory. I think that I'm not sure how they picked that up, but we've asked them for many years to do like a checkered with some gold, and at some point they picked it up, and And sometimes like it will be a process maybe over 2 or 3 years because we're asking them to do things that they're not able or comfortable with doing yet. And then a year or two down the road, they'll actually be able to pull it off and they'll have it in their line. And we were just able to kind of select some of these with that.
I just want to share real quick the selection of this particular collection. This one right here is so pretty. I just think this also is going to be really popular this year. We're going to get some so that we can work with this. I also love, it makes the Nutcracker theme, look more elegant. I already think Nutcracker is one of my favorites. So, but if you can see in the Christmas tree with those big Nutcracker sculptures that I also love, and they're made out of tin material. Did you come up with these ones?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
so tell me a little bit about them because I love them.
Yeah, so basically I love drums, and that's kind of where we ended up with this grouping from.
Check this out, the gold on the top, that's so pretty.
Yeah, we wanted to do kind of a Nutcracker with drums theme, and we found this metal factory that could really do just about anything I could draw. So I started drawing things out, and they were able to produce these. So we had these that were able to be ornaments, or they're going to be able to be like
Floral
a tabletop piece. So
container.
if you've got a poinsettia pot, you want to put something in that. We want to have different things.
You can use it on a wreath as a center, as a ornament on a wreath.
So we're trying to do a lot of multi-purpose things with some of our metal pieces. So like in one of the trees, I actually have the Nutcracker head in the top of the tree as a tree topper. We're actually getting them to do an open bottom on the Nutcracker heads so that they'll just sit on top
like a Christmas
of the Christmas tree. Yeah, so we're trying to make as many dual purpose things as possible because I like the idea of, like you said, there's a lot of wreath makers out there that want to make their own wreaths. And so there are things that like I drew these out for Jen because she had a fit over these ghosts, like a ghost with bows, and she always loves hearts. So anything hearts she loves. But we were like, I was like, well, we'll do these as a garden stake because we have a lot of customers that want to be able to use them like that. But we also put the little hook on the back of them, and this will my hand's a little sweaty. This will actually unscrew off the back of this piece so that you can just have.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to be able to just hang this in your wreath or hang it on a tree, you
like
can use it as an ornament. Yeah.
Multi-purpose, you guys. I used to have a series that I used to call it double duty DIYs. I'm gonna bring it back because I love buying items like that where you can, it's so important to go to your local stores or whatever you're buying your product and think, how else can I use that? And what other manner can I flip it around or twist it around and use it another way? Now, we're gonna finish with this one right here because we were talking about this one, remember earlier?
Oh yeah.
And I want you to highlight this beautiful pumpkin for Halloween.
So this was one of my crazy ideas. I wanted a gigantic pumpkin. As you can see, he is quite large, but I like fun Halloween. I like really fun, kind of goofy. So we did this, and it has a little candle holder inside, but I'm thinking what I'm planning to do, we did add the candle holder just in case you wanted to just put a candle in it. But my plan was I'm going to put LED lights in the top of it, and I'm going to put candy in his mouth and set this out on outside so that people can just come up and grab
That is
candy.
such a good idea, and it's going to light up from the inside. Also, it's almost like a container on the inside, on the top, the hat. So you could do an arrangement, a faux arrangement. You could put a piece of foam and do an arrangement on it. So it's like, once again, multi-purpose for Halloween. I think it is genius.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to use like black sticks and hang little ornaments.
Make a video about it so we can watch you do it. And once again, you guys, I'm sure most of you know who David is, but they also have a YouTube channel, and you can find them on Instagram as David Christophers, and then you can shop their whole collection at davidchristopher's.com, and you can use the code Ramon10 checkout so you can get an extra discount. So I want to say thank you for that to David and also to Jen, who is somewhere around here. I think she's running away from the camera right now, but it's okay. She gets to be on her videos. And so now that we're closer, we might come and do some other things with them, collaborations. And stay tuned because they have a pop-up shop coming up for the holiday season. They're still working on it.
Yeah, we're still trying to acquire a location, but we're hoping that Ramon's going to come in and help us do some setup, and you get to see kind of like a beginning to end.
Yeah.
Hey, we started with a blank slate, floors and walls.
Yeah.
And we ended up with a beautiful retail store.
And then bring you guys all along with the progression of not only setting up the store, but then open day and just a lot of fun. So stay tuned. There's going to be more announcements on their channels as well as in mine. So we're going to keep you informed on that. And for the local people, I know there's a lot. I have no idea that there were so many people from around Tennessee and all this area that follow me until I started posting that I was moving there. And then all of a sudden, all these like hundreds and hundreds of people. I was like, I never knew there were so many people, but it makes sense because here in the South, they really like to decorate, and it just makes sense. They just made themselves present. So we might even have like, I think it'd be a good idea to have a live event. We can promote it and then just do something live for the viewers. We'll talk about it and keep you guys informed. Yeah, so that we can bring you along.
Big things are coming.
Yeah, big things are coming. Stay tuned once again on their channel, David Christophers, and then also on their Instagram, and to shop their collection, davidchristopher's.com. Thank you, David, so much again for having us today. We had a lot of fun, and we cannot wait to hear more and do more with you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.